Board of Trustees in regular session on Tuesday, June 25th, 2019 in the boardroom, the administration building, 1515 Cherry Brook, Pasadena, Texas, at 5:33 p.m. Board members present are Mr. Jack Bailey, Mr. Kenny Fernandez, Ms. Vicki Morgan, Mr. Fred Roberts, Ms. Nelda Sullivan, and myself, Marshall Kendrick. Board members absent, Ms. Maricela Quijana. Let the record indicate that a quorum of board members is present, that this meeting is duly called, and that notice of this meeting was posted in accordance with the Texas Open Meeting Act, Texas Government Code Chapter 551. Mr. Bailey will give the invocation, and Mr. Hernandez the pledges.
You bow your heads with me. Heavenly Father, we just thank you for this day. We thank you for this opportunity to transact business for the school district. We just pray that you continue to protect the district, the families of this district, and our community. Lord, we pray for this time together that you'd give us wisdom and vision. Lord, we pray for the administration of the school district, that you'd continue to guide and direct them in all that they do. All this we ask in Christ's name. Amen.
Amen.
Amen. Pledge.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
And the Texas flag?
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to thee, Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
My agenda out here. We never had this when I was president last time.
No.
We're going to adjourn to the closed session pursuant to Texas Government Code Section 551.074 for the purpose of considering the employment, evaluation, reassignment, duties, discipline, or dismissal of a public officer, employee, or to hear complaints or charges against a public officer or employee concerning matters related to the superintendent's recommendations to hire administrative personnel, concerning matters related to the superintendent's recommendation related to renewals, non-renewals, and terminations of contracts for professional personnel, 551.071, to consult with district attorneys concerning matters on which the attorney's duties to the district and the Code of Professional Responsibility clearly conflicts with the Texas Open Meetings Act. When the district seeks the advice of an attorney about pending or contemplated litigation or settlement offer, consider legal advice regarding items specifically listed on the agenda in 55.1072 for the purpose of discussing the purchase, exchange, lease, or value of real property. There will be no policy tonight, and we will do the personnel in closed session with the Personnel Committee. We'll reconvene at 7 o'clock. And we're going to open an open session. Excuse me. We have special recognition tonight. Dr. Powell.
Board members, we have a lot of great things to recognize tonight, so without further ado, we'll get started. First of all, we have a special guest, and I'm not sure if she has others with her, but if she does, I'd love for her to introduce them. Mrs. Patricia Laredo, if you'd come forward. Where is Mrs. Laredo? If you'll come up here and stand, I hate to embarrass you, but I just want to share about this special lady. She began School Prayer Walks USA in July of 2018. Is that correct? It was something she felt the Lord led her to do, and she began at our campuses on the weekends, praying over the school and for the safety of all students and staff members. Through her Facebook page and word of mouth, she encouraged others to join her efforts in praying for campuses to be free of violence and senseless tragedies. Schools across the South Belt have had Mrs. Laredo and so many others walk around their campuses providing blessings and prayers of protection. School Prayer Walks USA try to make it to at least one campus per month. Correct. And they have prayed at least at 15 of our campuses, I would say. Oh, wonderful, thus far, and plans to continue. Yes. They always end their prayer walk with Numbers 6:24 through 26. The Lord bless you and keep you. The Lord make his face shine upon you and be gracious to you. The Lord turn his face towards you and give you peace. So, Mrs. Laredo, we brought you here tonight to say thank you and just shake your hand and tell you how much we think that's a wonderful thing to do and give you a small token of appreciation. If you're with the school prayer walks, if you'll come forward, we'd like to get a picture of the whole group. So if you'll come right up here, if you don't mind, we'd love to get a picture of everybody.
Sure enough. Right here.
Great job.
Thank you.
It's awesome. Good to see
The
you.
lady in the purple right there is Marie's sister.
Yes.
Have y'all
Looks like her.
circled the South Belt leader yet?
We've seen her before somewhere. Look at this.
And Molly, is this your sister or sister-in-law, Patricia?
That's Larry's sister.
Larry's sister. Okay, awesome, awesome.
Everybody get in good? We got to get the short one up front there.
Yeah.
You Texas.
All
Thank
right.
y'all.
That's an awesome group of people right there. They've been doing amazing work, and we appreciate them so much.
You know, we're afraid we can get that for sure.
Next, we're going to recognize some kiddos. We have Mr. Clinton Hopper here, Assistant Principal at Dobie High School, who will introduce our Dobie Speech and Debate accomplishments for the year.
Good evening. My name is Clinton Hopper, and I come before you to celebrate the achievement of 5 students of the J. Frank Dobie Department of Speech and Debate. Head coach Andrew Barrett and coach Jeffrey Flores have built one of the strongest departments in the state and indeed the nation. The achievements of these coaches and their students has continued and advanced Dobie's strong tradition of excellence. Many students have had great success in the 2018-2019 season. However, these 5 students have had standout success at the state and national level. Not with us tonight, Keyshawn Groves placed 6 out of 400 competitors in prose interpretation at the National Speech and Debate Association Championship, and he will attend Prairie View A&M on a speech scholarship in the fall. Also not with us this evening are Darnisha Green. On the heels of winning state in poetry last year, Darnisha was a national finalist this year in oral interpretation and will attend George Mason University in the fall also on a speech team scholarship. So those 2 great students aren't able to be here with us tonight, but we do have 3 with us. Michaela Reed was the UIL district champion in prose interpretation, as well as national finalist in dramatic interpretation at the Tournament of Champions in Kentucky. She will be attending George Mason University on a full scholarship in the fall.
How wonderful.
Reginald Jefferson was the back-to-back UIL district champion in poetry and national semifinalist in poetry, placing 7th. He placed 7th out of 400 at the NSDA Nationals. And then finally with us tonight, we have Caitlin Watina, who received 3rd place at TFA State in dramatic interpretation. She was UIL state finalist 2 years in a row and recently placed 7th overall at NSDA Nationals in dramatic interpretation.
Please, I know you. We're so excited for you.
Karen, do you have this certificate?
Take it to
And bring the coaches out, if you don't mind.
Mr. Barrett, Ms. Flores. Mr. Barrett, Mr. Flores, I know you guys are back there. Y'all come out too.
Come on here.
And in addition to all the success,
You did the drill. Great job.
Congratulations. Good job.
What y'all doing. Thank you so much.
And then we can get a picture of all of them.
Congratulations.
in addition to all the outstanding performances that we had this year, one of these students took the excellence even further. Caitlin Wojtyna, while competing in the Tournament of Champions held each year at the University of Kentucky, earned 1st place in the nation at the very competitive dramatic interpretation category. Please join me in congratulating all these students for their And also, while I'm here, if any of their parents are present, if you'd step forward or stand up. And then again, one last thing, because there's just been so many successes with this department. The Dobie speech team this weekend was awarded the highest honor bestowed upon a team competing in the speech events at NSDA. They received the National School of Excellence Award, which is one of 5 or 6 schools in the whole nation that get that.
Where did you say the students were going to go to school at?
Let's see.
Where are you going, Caitlin? Hold up.
Oh,
Undecided.
He's like, I'm not giving you that. Smart man, Mr. Hopper.
And we had the parents recognized, so we know how hard those students work, hours and hours. So congratulations to them. We have next our Police Association scholarships. This is always a great thing. And did I skip one? I'm really having a hard time tonight for some reason. Let me back up for a second, then we'll do our scholarships. We have Metter Elementary that we want to recognize. So Beverly, will you bring your team up here while I brag on you for a minute? We're very proud of Metter Elementary for many reasons, but they continue to win awards for academic success. Mrs. Bolton and her team have recently received the Gold Ribbon School Award from Dr. Bob Sanborn, Director of the At-Risk Schools. Thank you. For the state of Texas. Thank you. Last year, Metter was ranked, good to see you, as the 10th school, but this year they're up to number 8, moving their way on up. So. And just so we put that in perspective, they're number 8 in at-risk schools out of 905 at-risk elementary schools. So that's in and around Houston. So that is awesome. They've always had a school report card of an A or B plus high-performing star results. So congratulations to the students, teachers, staff, and Ms. Bolton for a job well done. And I'm not sure they have room for another banner, but there you go. There's another banner. Great job. Keep it up, ladies, and come back next year. We'll see 7, 6, 5, 4. 3. Okay, now we're to our PISD Police Association scholarship. So Captain David Garza will come forward, the president of the Pasadena ISD Police Officers Association, and he will introduce 8 winners this year of the scholarships. They're going to give them money.
All right, good evening. Once again, my name is David Garza. I'm here to give out 8 scholarships, monies that were raised during this year's 6th annual car show. We have a car show every year, have it at the Memorial Stadium. The last 2 years we've had it in April in the rain, and we're still able to make money. So I think we're going to go back to March, because the first 4 years we had beautiful sunshine. April's not a good month for us, so March. Keep the last weekend in March available for PISD 7th Annual Car Show. I would like to thank our top fuel sponsors. If you're a top fuel sponsor, you get a scholarship named after you. I'll name them off real quick. If you hear one that you're supposed to be representing, please step up. We tried to find people in the audience before they came out here. We can only find 2 or 3. So it's Bayway Auto Group, Mack Hike Ford, San Jacinto Harley Davidson, EOG Resources, Russell Family, Ace Industrial Services, the Crawfish Pot, and KRW Attorneys at Law. Our first scholarship recipient is going to be Valerie Childers. She's from Rayburn. She'll be going to the University of Texas.
Congratulations, young lady. Awesome.
Congratulations.
Stand it up, I guess.
Our next recipient will be Zach Chant. He will be going to Lubbock Christian University.
Seeing you everywhere. Congratulations. Congratulations.
Awesome.
Congratulations, Zach.
Yes, sir.
Then I'm sorry, Bayway Automotive Group will be giving Digna Head-On, Sam Rayburn. She'll be going to Texas A&M University.
Congratulations. Good for you, young lady. Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Now to present the Russell Family Scholarship will be Chief Stuart Russell, who'll be presenting Taylor Miles, her scholarship should be going to Blinn Junior College.
Congratulations, young lady. Awesome.
Congratulations.
Next recipient will be Samuel Donahoe, and he will be going to San Jacinto Junior College.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
Officer Johnny Pedraza, he'll be representing the Crawfish Pot, one of our top fuel sponsors. He'll be giving Isaiah Waller his scholarship, Sam Rayburn High School, Lamar University.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Congratulations to you.
Next scholarship recipient, Jesus Gonzalez, Sam Rayburn, will be going to San Jacinto College, then U of H for civil engineering. Our eighth recipient was unable to be here tonight. She's Carolyn Herrera, Pasadena Memorial, and she'll be attending Texas A&M University. So big round of applause for all these people, if you don't mind. Thank you. And real quick before they leave, they were all told they were getting a $1,000 scholarship. We had extra money, so we're giving them each an additional $500 to total $12,000 that we made from the car show. So they'll now be getting $1,500 instead of $1,000. So thank y'all. I'd like to thank you to Dr. Powell for your support. Board, thank you very much. Where is, no, he's standing outside. Also, Rupert Hasso for letting us have it at the stadium. He's outside, so if y'all see him, tell him I gave him a shout out. All right, thank you.
Yeah.
We got one more.
You ought to go ahead and do that.
We got one more special.
Okay. This going to be these things?
Yeah, and this will be shorter than that. We shortened this today. Congratulations. Can the parents of these students please stand up so we can recognize the parents? Are they here? Thank you to our police department and our police association for that opportunity for those kiddos. That's awesome. We have now Ginger Lay, Partners in Pasadena representative, who's going to introduce some outstanding volunteers for the year. So I'll let her take it from here. Thank you.
Good evening. And this is really hard to do because our volunteers give so much of their time and commitment to our schools. But I've been given word by Troy, who said, Jen, you can't read 2 or 3 pages on everybody. And so we all agree we wish we could, because you truly deserve it for all that you've done for our schools. So just know that there's a whole lot more we could have said about these folks, because they're just awesome folks for doing all that they do for our schools. And so the first person we're going to recognize tonight is we have 3 adult volunteers, and so this is one of the first 3. And her name is Sandra Zuniga, who's been nominated by Sparks Elementary. And the Sparks staff says Sandra has been a loyal volunteer since 2014, giving so much of her time over the years. She has volunteered to help in any area that we have needed it, helping with the Brighter Bites program, assisting teachers and staff, working book fairs, class parties, chaperoning, even Thanksgiving dinners. And sometimes she even takes work home so she can finish it. So please congratulate Sandra Zuniga for her service and for being selected. The next one is Officer Anthony Triplett of the Houston Police Department. And he's been nominated by Rick Schneider Smith Middle School, and he has won the Adult Volunteer Middle School Volunteer. Schneider's staff has said about Officer Triplett that he volunteers at several of our schools in our district through the Houston Police Department's Police Activities League, which is dedicated to reducing juvenile crime and violence, which also includes building trusting relationships among our youth, law enforcement, and the community. He believes that that all students are capable of behaving and making right choices with the proper mentoring and motivation. He goes beyond his duty and has participated in many events at our campus. Officer Triplett has a special way of getting through to even the most challenging students with respect and real talk. We greatly appreciate his positive influence. Please congratulate Officer Triplett for his service and for being selected as the outstanding adult volunteer for middle schools. Miss Elma Nygaard has been nominated by San Jacinto Intermediate for her continued service to the San Jacinto Intermediate Invitation Basketball Tournament. I told her she needs to come help us out. She has won the Adult Volunteer for Intermediate Schools. The event is the largest fundraiser for San Jacinto Intermediate, which started in 2004. She does multiple locations. I think the best thing you're going to like about Miss Alma is that she bakes, cooks, and works the hospitality rooms for her son, one of the coaches over at San Jacinto Intermediate. So I asked him if he was getting brownie points by nominating his mother, and he said, no, the sweet secretary did it. And so she truly deserves this outstanding award. So thank you, Miss Elma. The next volunteer is a student, and her name is Alondra Valdez. She was nominated by Pearl Hall Elementary. Her teacher, Mr. Stevenson, wrote about Alondra that she helps in the community by picking up trash around the neighborhood. She aids stray dogs and cats by providing them with temporary shelter and foods. She assists the elderly who are blind in helping with chores around their home. She does this multiple times a week, if not every day. She is truly a model example of an outstanding citizen and volunteer. Please congratulate Alondra Valdez for her service and being selected. So we have one more student volunteer, and this is Enrique, who was chosen for the secondary schools. Enrique has been nominated by South Houston High School. Dr. Allison McCagg, his teacher, has said it and written about him. For over 3 years, Enrique has participated in the host program by selfishly serving the PISD special ed students. He joyfully arrives at South Houston High by 6:30 each morning. He helps the kids not only with their breakfast, he gets them off to their classes, but he's become a true role model for these students. He says that they love seeing him every day, and I told him, I said, they're going to miss you so much because he's a senior and he's leaving this year. He also helps our host programs not only at South Houston Elementary, but also has been doing pre-K over at Teague. So he's a very active young man, and we appreciate all his service. So please congratulate Enrique. Miss Jerry Burrell, who I said, boy, you look familiar. And she said, I used to teach in this school district. She is representing Horace Mann Insurance Agency and has been nominated by Teague Elementary and Jessup Elementary. So she had 2 schools nominate her. Both of the schools have said she's a positive asset to our schools. She volunteers both financially and physically by supporting the faculty and students. She shows up monthly with a hello and a smile for each person she sees. She donates gift cards to the teacher with the perfect attendance. She also volunteers her expertise to help our staff with financial planning. She also, which I thought was awesome, is she sponsors a booth for the health fair and supports teacher grants through DonorsChoose.org. Please congratulate Jerry for all her hard work as the small business volunteer. So our outstanding large business volunteer has been nominated by Genoa Elementary, which is Texas Bay Credit Union. They've been an outstanding partner with our school district for 24 years. This young man is Jesse Gutierrez, who is the CEO and president of Texas Bay Area Credit. He does the host program. They started off at Gardens, and now they do the program over at Genoa. The host staff over there says they're kind, generous, they're important, and they're consistent, which means a lot for little kids who are looking for their mentors to come. She also said they sponsored the 25th anniversary host breakfast this past school year, and they also are supporters of our Education Foundation. So we're so thankful for all of their continued support and time and dedication to our students and our community. So thank you, Jesse, and all your hard work. This is the outstanding organizer. Miss Faye, come on up. It's your turn. She's so used to working, she's not used to being recognized. So Miss Faye has been nominated by Jensen Elementary. She comes from her church, which is Pargate Community Church, but she's been doing the liaison work between the church and Jensen with Kids Hope mentoring program. She organizes the volunteers from her church to commit their time for the students. She makes sure that the mentors never miss a day and helps the students with their school work and all of their social and emotional needs.
So very much.
And one example that they gave that I think you really love about Ms. Hawkins is that one of their students was hit by a car. So she rallied all the volunteers to go visit the student and then help the parents with their various needs. She goes beyond the duties of Kids Hope to make sure every child is served and uplifted. And I love the sentence they wrote. They said, "She's quiet, selfless, and a blessing to all." So thank you, Ms. Faye. And then our last one is good old Coach Cole. We go way back to Soho days, don't we, Coach? See, I even get a yes, ma'am. Coach Cole's group he's winning the award for the organization group, and that is he takes his junior mentors from Memorial to Genoa to take care of the little kindergarten kids through the host program. Coach Cole's kids have done an excellent job in mentoring and helping with our student classes. They are wonderful role models for our students. We appreciate their flexibility, their motivation, and genuine concern for our little ones. We've had a great partnership with Memorial and Coach Cole, and we hope that it continues for many more great years. Please congratulate Coach Cole for him and all his students going over to Genoa and help our little ones out. So thank y'all so very much. Again, there was so many more things that these schools have written about these folks. Just know that there are that many more awesome volunteers out there, and if you have them in your schools, please tell them thank you for all the work they do. They do it tirelessly and effortlessly, and they do it with a lot of love and compassion. So thank y'all.
Thank you.
Thank you,
Thank
Ginger.
you to everyone. If any family members of these volunteers are here, if you'd stand, I know they give of their time. Anyone here? Thank you, sir. Thank you. Thank you. You want to do a sneak out?
If anyone would like to leave now that the recognitions are over, you feel free to do so before we get into the business meeting.
Karen, will
It's your
you
choice.
unreserve the chairs real quick? We're just going to do some housekeeping here. So if you were here for special recognition and you want to slip out, now's the time. We're going to get some chairs available up front for those of you that are standing.
Okay. Next part of our agenda is public comments. We have several. I understand several are talking about the same subject, and I think they've chosen one person to speak for them. And Dalby, Lisa Jenkins, or Ebony Nunn.
It's going to be Ann.
Who's going to be the speaker, Ann? Okay. You have 5 minutes, and Ms. Morgan will be keeping time for you.
Good evening to the members of the school board and members of the audience. I'm Ann Dolby. I am a 10th grade English teacher at Pasadena High School, and I am the president of Pasadena Educators Association. I'm coming before you today to address the 2019-2020 budget. Thanks to House Bill 3, Pasadena ISD has been allotted $45 million, $14.5 million of which is required to be put toward salaries of teachers and full-time employees. Also, according to the bill, teachers with 6+ years of experience are to receive a higher percentage raise than those with 5 or fewer years of experience. PEA is asking the board to approve a 9% raise across the board for teachers, librarians, and nurses, and an hourly raise for full-time ESPs. The board had already generously planned on a 3% raise before the bill was passed. We are asking for 6% more across the board. According to the district report from TEA for the 2017-2018 school year, the biggest group of teachers in Pasadena is the group with 1 to 5 years experience. Pasadena is known for training its teachers very well. The problem is we do not retain the teachers on whom we spend so much money training. Dr. Powell said as much in the meeting last Thursday. Surrounding districts like Deer Park, Clear Creek, LaPorte all have more experienced teachers, with the biggest group being those with 11 to 20 years of experience. It seems like we are training our teachers really well and then sending them off to other districts. Why? We need to work hard to keep our qualified teachers, to show them that we value their years of experience. We need to competitively compensate them through a 9% raise across the board. The raise must be across the board, not at midpoint. Granting a raise at midpoint will only hurt the more experienced teachers who we are trying to keep in the district. Dr. Powell did state that if the current proposal is approved, PISD's starting salary for new teachers will be higher than Deer Park's for the first time in a long time. That is wonderful. However, Deer Park does employ more experienced teachers. Teachers with 11 to 20 years experience is their biggest group. Deer Park's turnover rate is also 3% less than ours. We want new teachers, but we want them to stay. We must compensate all our teachers. PEA wants Pasadena to be a destination district where people want to stay and dedicate their careers to our students. Other districts in the area have already approved raises for their teachers. Humble has approved 7%, LaPorte has approved 8%, Alief has approved 8.49% for teachers with 6+ years experience, Katy approved 8%, and Sheldon has approved 10%. That's not true. PA is also asking for an increase in stipends and bonuses. Please increase our ESL and special ed stipends. Our special ed case managers, they spend countless hours completing ARDs, writing and updating IEPs, teaching and reteaching and counseling. And their stipend is $650 for the whole year, which works out to $27 per pay period. For the past 6 years also, the Algebra 1 team at Pasadena High School has made history with our student passage rate for STAR. Other districts give their teachers bonuses for these high scores, but we do not. Show our teachers that you care about them and their financial stability. Show our teachers that you want to keep them. Show our teachers that you value them. Give us a 9% raise across the board.
1 minute.
Okay. Thank you for your time and your continued dedication to Pasadena Independent School District. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
So board members, as you know, we have a 5% and 5.5% raise proposed in the agenda tonight. One of the largest I've seen in the district in 28 years, the largest I've seen. As she said, we have a 30% minimum, which is somewhere between 14 and 16 million. We're giving 20 million to our employees, so just so that's clear. Katie and some of those others, those were incorrect numbers, so I don't know where you got those, or they've changed most definitely. I don't think there's a soul up here that wouldn't give the shirt off our back, but we've run deficit budgets for the last several years. We have to worry about students and staff. It's a balancing act. And there's programs that our kids are being successful at, and there are amazing things that are happening at every campus across the district that we still have to fund. And next year, there'll be desires for raises as well. So I can't speak to what other districts are doing, nor would I ever want to. What I want to do is something consistent, and what I will tell you is as these and I told you this at the budget workshop, as these templates come in and things change, because TEA is doing this slowly. This is a very stressful summer for superintendents and other people that work in this area, like CFOs, because things are changing constantly. I will come back to you and ask for stipends or additional pay. UMPL is not giving all of theirs in salary. Some of that is in stipends. But again, I don't want to get tit for tat for other districts. I worry about PISD and the staff that I have here in Pasadena ISD. And if you know me or know any board member up here, we're going to do our darndest to take care of every single one of them. So that's where I'm at on that.
Thank you. We have another speaker, two speakers, I think. Is it Torres, Rudy, and Christina? Are they still here?
Rudy and Christina Torres.
Yeah.
Still looking. They were just here, so I don't know if they left, Mr. Kendrick. We can just, you can move them.
We can do public comments at the end. That's
Yeah,
fine.
we can do it after the end.
Okay, so I'll go find them.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We'll now get into the agenda, consent agenda.
Mr. President, I move that we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Morgan, second by Mr. Roberts. Is that your name? Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Personnel section. Ms. Morgan.
Mr. President, I move that we approve addenda pages A through C.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Morgan. Pass addenda what? A through C?
A through C.
A through C, second by Mr. What's your name, Roberts?
Robert.
Freddie Roberts, right?
You
Any
can call me
discussion?
Freddie.
Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All approved? Thank you. Motion passed.
I'd like to introduce these, please. Is Adrian Alarcon here? Alarcon, is that correct? Okay. Adrian has been named counselor at South Houston High School. Congratulations. I'm sure you have school family here with you. Do you have your own family here with you?
Not. Can I speak about my school family?
You certainly can.
So I wanted to thank my friend Robert's school family who is here, Jolie Thomas and Celali Guerrero. Without them, I wouldn't have had the opportunity that I had tonight to be approved for this position. I've grown so much under their leadership and under their support and love and care, and I'm sad to see them leave, but I'm sure that they're very, very proud of me.
Well, they're not leaving.
Well, yeah.
Right, Jorley? Let me check.
Where are you going, Jordan?
Don't confuse him.
Sorry.
I'm also lucky and fortunate enough that I also have my Soho family here.
Yeah.
And so I want to thank them for coming today and accepting me with open arms. And I look forward to being a part of their team and helping our community.
Thank you.
Absolutely.
All right.
Next, we have Maritza Davis. Maritza, please stand. Maritza's been named Director of Accounting, and we congratulate you in your new position. Do you have family with you, Maritza?
Yes, I have my amazing dad here. I have my good friend Karen, and then my older sister, and my work family.
Awesome. Congratulations. Well, last but not least, it gives me great pleasure and it's an honor for me to introduce the next principal of Pasadena High School, and it is Laura Gomez. So proud of you, Laura. You have family with you?
Yes. You know, this is the first time I actually come to the board. When I made AP, I was presenting for the National Association of Bilingual Educators in Colorado. When I became principal, I was hiring teachers, so I was interviewing on that particular day. So today I brought my full family.
Good.
My husband, my wonderful husband, and my girls, they are my joy. I have one that is in Nebraska that's actually on phone video. My parents, you know, we immigrated. There were 7 of us when we came to the U.S., and there's now 31 of us.
Oh, wow.
And so they're here. My siblings, my nieces and nephews.
You weren't kidding. I love it.
My South Houston member team, they're here. I didn't say a word and yet they showed up. And then I noticed a great deal of my new Eagle family, that it touches my heart that you're here to support me. Central office, friends, administration here, I'm truly blessed, and I thank you for this opportunity.
Well,
And
go ahead.
that's it, Mr. President.
Thank you. That's a good night. Congratulations to all of you, and we know you'll do a phenomenal job.
If they want to slip out.
And if anybody wants to slip out now, feel free to do so. We'll give you a few minutes. That'll vacate the room. I was scared of all of them.
Yeah. Okay. The tourism don't want to speak anymore.
Thank you. Did you see a picture in paper that guy that floated off from under the bridge? Bless his heart. But you know, some of these people, you can't get them to come in.
Have you ever seen Steve? What's going on? You been driving?
Not that I can, yeah.
Right.
I can remember.
Why is Steve still doing business?
You don't have any
Maybe he wants to raise.
Yeah. Well, find out
Fairmont?
on one side
There
of
you go.
business.
We're going to continue with the agenda. Item number 2, consideration and possible approval of the T-Test Teacher Appraisal Calendar 2019-20 and local procedures.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Morgan, second by Mr. Fernandez. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Item number 3, consideration and possible approval of ZSP number 19P-027 LP to Gallagher Benefit Services, Inc. for employee benefits and insurance consulting services.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Vicki Morgan, second by Kenny Fernandez. Any questions or discussion?
Board members, I just want you to know Bob Tracy is here, the lead consultant, and Maggie Parker, the account executive, are also in attendance tonight.
Thank you for being here. And thank you for standing up for us. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion passes. Consideration and possible approval of additional personnel for the 2019-2020 school year.
So moved. Second.
Motion by Ms. Morgan, second by Mrs. Sullivan. Any discussion? All in,
have a question.
Go ahead.
Are these all for pre-K?
The 21 teachers are for pre-K, 4 of them for PPCD, special ed, and the rest on the regular side. As you know, House Bill 3 is asking for full-day pre-K, so we're trying to convert more units to full-day. We currently have about 72 full-day classrooms, so this will take us well up over 90 full-day classrooms. Right.
Fantastic. Any other questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Consideration and possible approval of other payroll increases, decreases, additional days, reclassifications from budget summary draft for the 2019-2020 school year.
So move. Second.
Motion by Mrs. Morgan, second by Mrs. Sullivan. Any discussion or questions?
Well, board members, I did say a lot earlier, but I just want to say we are looking at stipends. That's still stuff that I can bring back to you at a later time. We don't finalize our budget quite as early as some other districts do. So we're still reviewing things. Again, we're on the phone, if not daily, every other day with TASBO and with Moak and Casey and TEA, making sure our numbers are correct. So if things change, I could even come back with you with additional increases as well, because we want to make sure that we don't just meet the requirement, but we exceed that requirement. And we're trying to do that through salary and benefits to keep that burden from giving a raise and then taking it away through the benefit side of the house. So just know that I may be back to you on this topic.
Any other discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Consideration of possible approval of percent of midpoint salary increases for the 2019-2020 school year.
So move. Second.
Motion by Mrs. Morgan, second by Mrs. Sullivan. Any comments or questions? If not, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Certified personnel for information only. Support personnel for information only. Educational section, section 5, page 170 if you're in the book. Item number 1, consideration and possible approval to continue effective September the 1st, 2019, participation in the interlocal government record management cooperative coordinated and administrated by the Harris County Department of Education.
Second.
Motion made by Mr. Fernandez, second by Mrs. Morgan. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion carries. Item number 2, consideration and possible approval of the interlocal agreement between the Pasadena Independent School District and Harris County Community Youth Services to provide youth service specialists for the summit.
So move.
Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Morgan, second by Mr. Fernandez. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Number 3, consideration possible approval of partnership agreement between Pasadena Independent School District, PISD, and Houston Methodist Hospital for the 2019-2024 school year.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Morgan, second by Mr. Fernandez. Any discussion?
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Doctor, we need, I don't even know what I'm saying. When you reviewed this, obviously it was pulled from a previous agenda. When you reviewed it, did you consult at any point in time with HCA, formerly Bayshore Hospital?
Yes, in fact, I did pull it for that purpose. I had a meeting with the CEO, Ms. Bamberg, as you know, and discussed it in detail. She reviewed everything and felt like at this time she couldn't match these services, but she wanted to partner with us in a lot of other ways. So Mr. McCarley and I met with her personally to look at those avenues and make sure that we're beefing it up in other areas to benefit. We're still partnering with HCA. Dr. Kirkwood still is on our sideline many games. Doing our physicals and things of that nature. So we're still working with them in a variety of ways, but based on the services provided here, she felt like at this time she needed to pass.
Okay. I think it might be nice maybe at a future board meeting to recognize Dr. Kirkwood for the time that he's provided at the games and other ways. So.
Thank you, Vicki. Any other comment?
One question.
Sure.
Dr. Powell, doesn't the district own that message board that's on Burke?
Is Rupert or Troy, where's Rupert? Do we own the marquee that's on Burke for the stadium? That's ours, right? Who puts in keys in the... We do. Yes, ma'am.
Does this agreement just limit it to us to listing Methodist Hospital, or can we put school events in there?
We can put school events on there. Games, playoffs, school events can be posted on there as well. Yes.
It does.
So,
Question.
yes, sir.
On the billing, a few years ago, we kind of got caught in the rears on the billing process for the previous sponsor. Do we bill them up front before the year starts, or are we going to do like we did in the past, wait a couple of years to
Carla,
invoice them?
can you come up?
Yes, sir. As soon as it's approved, I will send the bill out immediately, and that will solve that issue. So,
Don't put their name up there till you get the money.
yes, sir, absolutely.
Cash the check.
Any other questions? All in favor, say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. Motion passes. Consideration and possible approval of Advice TX contract and MOU agreements for 2019 through 2021.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Morgan, second by Mrs. Sullivan. Any questions or discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. We have a presentation for information only. School Health Advisory Committee. Better known as Shack.
Hello. I can stand up here and read your report, but a picture is worth 1,000 words, so I do have a video of all the Shack items, some of the Shack items that we accomplished this school year. We've had a great year. Here's our 2018-2019
Can you turn it up a little bit?
We've had 4 very well-attended Shack meetings this year. Parents and community members came together to make decisions that positively impacted the children of Pasadena ISD. This year, we had 7 successful walk-to-school days at Fraser, Freeman, Gardens, Red Bluff, Ritchie, Sparks, Turner, Beza Baller, and Molilla. Red Bluff had their annual bike-to-school event as well. We had approximately 1,275 students participate in the event. This year, we provided 3 different opportunities for our employees to play employee sports. We offered volleyball, softball, and basketball. We also implemented 4 employee wellness challenges throughout the year. 6,577 employees attempted 1 or more of the challenges. We have successfully completed year 2 with MD Anderson and Shell Oil for the Pasadena Vibrant Community Initiative. Here you will see 2 of the projects funded through the initiative. Pasadena High School students mowed 21 garden beds for 7 campuses. We were also able to purchase PE equipment for intermediate and high school students and heart rate monitors for high school students to increase their moderate to vigorous physical activity well. Through this initiative, we have built stronger relationships with community partners who want the best for our students and for their campus. During year 1 and year 2 of the Pasadena Vibrant Community Grant, we were able to purchase recess equipment for all elementary and middle school campuses.
Look at that cool playground. Isn't that cool?
On games and
It is pretty neat.
with the purchased equipment. This would ensure those with and without playground.
Those monkey bars scare me, though.
We were also able to support physical activity
I know, but
in
they
the
break their
culture by providing equipment and training. The Shack and TEC committees developed recess guidelines that were sent to the government where they were approved for the 2019-2020 school year. We are continuing to work towards every campus having a playground, and after this year, we are being steps closer to that goal. Burnett, Metter, Hancock, and Pomeroy all added a playground or a walking track to their campus. We currently have 3 elementary campuses without a playground: Atkinson, Naismith, and Young. One of these 3 campuses may have a playground very soon. Stay tuned for more details. We had 27 campuses apply for the Excellence in Wellness Award, and of those 27 campuses, 7 earned platinum status. These campuses are going above and beyond in educating the whole child. This award is based around the whole school, whole community, and whole child model, and will be recognized in the fall. Red Bluff Elementary earned the Tapered Exemplary School Level 1 for the second time. Burnett Elementary. Campus share carts were implemented district-wide for those that requested them. This has reduced the amount of unopened food that was being thrown away. Children are able to take something off the cart for a snack later on in the day or to take home. Students taste tested over 33 categories of menu items. We had 4 amazing women who graduated from the Region 4 Managers Academy. Child Nutrition received the Best of the Bunch Award for the 5th consecutive year for the school year, as well as the summer school pilot. This award is for serving a certain number of Texas products, including fruits and vegetables, advertising those to our students, and providing educational opportunities around those products. ACE partnered with the Houston Food Bank to offer 2 food distribution sites at Miller and De Zavala. Family and Community Engagement hosted 2 successful community health fairs at Gardens Elementary and South Houston Intermediate. In the 2019-2020 school year, SHAC would like to use the Alliance for Healthy Generation results to drive district-level support in coordinated school health, continue to increase physical activity throughout the day in and out of the classroom, continue with Year 3 of the Pasadena Vibrant Community Initiative, and to develop a district recess policy per the new legislation passed in May 2019. As always, thank you so much for your support and guidance this past year. We look forward to our continued work in and around Pasadena ISD.
And I know the very beginning that was hard to hear because we had some happy people out there. So I will send it to Mr. McCarley and he can get it to you guys. And if anybody out here wants to find it, we'll post it on our Pasadena ISD PE Health and Wellness Facebook page and you can watch and hear the beginning of it. Thank you.
Thank you. Good job.
Great work.
Our kids must really be enjoying that.
I thought it was so neat that there was a cart that they could put unopened things on and take home. That's wonderful.
Pretty neat.
And the one part we're excited about, we have 3 schools left that we need to find playgrounds. We're pretty sure one's going to happen and possibly a second one. That will leave us 1 left.
Is Young in those lists?
Oh, yes.
Because Rhonda promised them a playground last time we were there. It's like, what are you doing?
That was her first phone call. Is what I need to do.
Thank you. Item number 6, consideration and possible approval to enter into the 2019-2020 interlocal contract agreement between Harris County Department of Education and Pasadena Independent School District for tuition and educational services at the Academic and Behavioral School East.
So moved.
Motion by Mrs. Morgan, second by Mr. Fernandez. Any questions or discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Item number 7, consideration and possible approval to enter into the 2019-2020 interlocal agreement with Harris County Department of Education for music therapy.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Morgan, second by Mrs. Sullivan. Any questions or discussions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Consideration and possible approval of 2019-2020 agreement for adult education services between Harris County Department of Education and Pasadena Independent School District.
So moved.
Second.
Question.
Motion made by Mrs. Morgan, second by Mrs. Sullivan. Yes, sir, Mr. Roberts.
Were any of the schools in the Southfield area considered, or was they brought up, or
Gloria, you want to address how the schools were chosen?
strictly Pasadena? Or?
This particular campuses are serviced through Harris County Department of Education. We have another partnership with San Jacinto College, and Southfield schools are served on that one.
What?
Repeat that again.
Southfield schools are served, having classes either ESL, I believe it's Touchberry, don't quote me on there, I can get you the listing, but they are being serviced by San Jacinto College.
Okay. Thank you.
Are these the same schools as last year?
They are.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
None have been added or dropped?
No, not at this time.
Gloria?
Yes, sir.
What kind of participation do you have with the adults?
What kind of what?
Participation?
Oh, well, it's I can get you some exact numbers, but it's very well participated. And so we have a large number at the beginning ESL classes, And so they were dropping off because as they advanced, then the San Jacinto or Harris County did not have advanced English. But we were able to generate enough interest that now they're providing it for beginning, intermediate, and advanced to get them to become fluent English speakers.
Good. Thank you, ma'am.
What exactly is the county furnishing?
They do the teachers.
Okay, they furnish the salary
Everything.
for the teachers?
Everything. We just provide the locations. Uh-huh.
Okay.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Consideration and possible approval of proposed librarian appraisal instrument for implementation during the 2019-20 school year.
So moved. It should be 2019, 2020.
Sure should be. It says 10. We're going backwards. 2019, 2020. Thank you, Vicki.
Yeah, mine does too.
You made the motion?
Yes.
Who seconded? Kenny? Any discussion? Is this something new?
Actually, they streamlined it. I don't know if Scott or Chris, do you want to speak to it? This will be your last time to get up here and shine before you retire. They did a great job doing some good work here, so you can brag on your team.
We had to create a new appraisal instrument because we have a new set of state standards for library programs, and so we created a new appraisal instrument based on the new standards. And we would like to think that it's more streamlined. It will be easier for principals to work with and have conversations with their librarians.
I think it looks great.
Yes, and it has the same format as the appraisal instrument used for teachers.
Okay.
So it should be easy for principals to use.
Are these librarians here?
I'm sorry?
Are these librarians that help here?
Tonight? No. No. Melissa Rippey is here, yes, and she worked with the librarians and the principals that piloted the program.
Great job.
So,
I have a question.
Yes.
I understand that we don't have a lot of people going into the library, teaching part of the program. What can we do to entice more participation in this program, because it is so vital?
It is, and we've been thinking on that a lot. We do work very hard to grow our own, and our librarians are very good about convincing teachers at their campus to go back to school. Generally speaking, it's about 2 years to get a master's degree and be certified as a school librarian. And working with the librarians and getting them to go out and encourage their teachers to do that. We work with University of Houston at Clear Lake and Sam Houston, and we know the professors there. We help in the summertime. We have, Melissa, how many interns do we have this summer?
We have 7 interns this summer.
Yeah, any of the universities that have interns that need hours during the summer, they work through our department and are out in our schools during summer school, and we're able to attract and hire people that way also.
Great. Thank you very much.
Thank you
very much. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion passes. Consideration of possible approval of Special Education Management System, CSP number 19P-032LP.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Ms. Morgan, second by Ms. Sullivan. Any questions or discussion?
Is this an unfunded mandate?
EastBed has been our software for some time, so this is just continuing that. I mean, it's necessary to keep up with all our legal documents related to special education.
Anything else? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Safety update, presentation, information.
We have a triple threat here. We've got 3 outstanding individuals that have been meeting weekly, if not more often, regarding safety, so we'll let them take over from here. I think you recognize all of them.
We just need to get it up there. Okay, we're good. Good evening.
Good evening.
Thank you so much for the opportunity to talk a little bit this evening about safety. While safety and security has always been a priority in our district, we know in recent years that schools have been profoundly shaken by a series of school tragedies that have really changed the landscape of school security and safety that we really have traditionally felt. So we have spent the past year working with stakeholders to ensure that we have focused on having systems in place that will deter unwanted events from occurring, and that will really detect areas of vulnerability and delay any potential threats from gaining access to our students and staff on our campuses. And with those three thoughts in mind in our early discussions, that led us to our plan of action. So in forming and talking with stakeholders, we initially began meeting with principals through roundtable discussions, and then moved to a safety steering committee, and then ultimately to a district-wide school safety and security committee that was comprised of teachers, parents, students, community members, first responders, city emergency management. We brought in mental health professional experts to sit at the table and have some real intense conversations with us. And we focused on best practices that we have in the district, things that are going well, that we feel real positive about. And we also looked at our gaps. Again, those areas that we do feel very vulnerable. And we looked at areas that we need more training, what's happening in our world. We looked at what support do our campuses need, how do they feel. Part of these conversations dealt with a town hall approach where we brought in students from each of our high schools and we asked for their perspectives of what was taking place, needs that they had. We wanted to view our situation from not only adults within the district and parents, but also our students. We also brought in a student from one of the high schools, the Santa Fe tragedy, and asked for her thoughts and input and experiences from her view of what had happened. And that gave us some real insight as well. So with this committee, one of the things that we knew immediately is that there is no single program or employee or equipment that we can bring in that's going to solve any problems that we have in the safety arena. We knew that we were going to have to focus on not only physical and structural aspects, but also psychological safety of our students and staff as well. So we really utilized the framework that focused on prevention, preparedness, response, and recovery. And those have been our four cyclical actions that we have focused on throughout this process. But four themes continue to arise in everything that we have really focused on, and that's been our facility enhancements, our mental and behavioral support systems that we have in place or that we need to put into place, our police initiatives from not only our department but those surrounding agencies as well, and a strong focus on the positive campus cultures that we have in place, as well as a shared responsibility, understanding that there's no one single person that really is in charge of safety. It really is a culmination of other people. So Dr. McCarley is going to come forward and talk about the first aspect, which was really hardening our facilities.
Thank you, Darla. It has been a year in which we have listened a lot, we have learned a lot, we have seen what we have done that has been very successful in the past and see where we need to go in the future. So I commend everybody, Darla, Stuart, everybody who's involved this year, every teacher, every principal, every employee, every student, because it is that team effort for our school safety. So I'm going to hit upon very quickly the facilities. I commend Kevin Fornoff and his team. They have worked diligently to equip our facilities to become more safe. If you look at the picture, the first picture on the left-hand side is the Blue Wave system. We have all facilities with Blue Wave doors within those facilities. Not every door, we wish, but key doors in which employees can utilize their IDs to be able to get into the door. Each door costs about $3,000 to equip with all of the wiring and everything, and we are diligently working to get additional funding. We did apply for a COPS grant, and we are hoping to receive that funding. If we do receive that funding, then we will have additional funds for some of these facility upgrades. The middle picture is vestibules. We do have vestibules at all of our elementary, middle school, and intermediate campuses, and very proud of that. On that piece, All of them do have a buzzer system. When we first started this, they didn't have a buzzer system that a secretary in the very front office could buzz to unlock the door. But we have the buzzer system so they can easily are in view and can have access to the teachers, the faculty, staff, and students who need through that door. Last but not least, a doorknob. Until you realize how many doorknobs we have in this district, okay, it is amazing. I am very proud to say that all of our interior classrooms have an inside locking doorknob. That means if as a situation occurs, a teacher or an employee can lock the door from the inside. We are working currently on our portables, and we have all of the hardware, and we are installing that hardware as quickly as possible. So within the next couple of months, we are hopeful that every doorknob will be able to be locked from the inside, which is a great achievement because I can't even remember the total number of doorknobs that we do have. So that is a little bit on facilities. The next one Darla hit upon is about positive campus culture. One that you know we started was See Something, Say Something, in which any parent, any student, any community member, okay, could reach out through us electronically or a student through a QR code. That's where they get on with their phone and they can report something that they are concerned with. At the very back of your packet, I did provide you a graph that shows you, okay, it's an Excel spreadsheet that shows you all of the, from our beginning, when we began See Something to Say Something to end of last May, we have had 481 reports of a possible threat. And so we are very proud of that at the very back. And please know, though, that some of these, it may be a positive thing that came through here. I don't want you to think that everything here is a negative, because there were times where it was a positive thing that came through. And so I commend that and those parents and those students as well, because they are also saying thank you for doing and working to keep everybody safe. So kudos to all of those involved in that with See Something, Say Something. Next, you're going to see a video. I apologize about the voice. I don't know who it is. But another thing that we instituted this spring semester is random metal detector screenings at our intermediate and high school campuses. We went out, and you will see some very familiar faces. We went to our retired teachers and administrators and said, we need your help. We need you to come back and help us. We went through extensive training. I commend the police department and Trey Morris for helping us, who trained these individuals to go into these schools to do a random metal detector screening. And these individuals came. They would go to various schools. It is random. We would not, let them know what schools until that day, then they would head out. So here's a video to give you a better understanding of what happens when we do and perform a random metal detector screening.
Providing a safe and secure learning environment is a top priority in Pasadena Independent School District as we continue to evaluate and enhance school safety features district-wide. We have chosen to add random metal detector screenings at secondary campuses. I am Troy McCarty, Associate Superintendent in Pasadena Independent School District, and I am here to give you more information about Pasadena ISD's plans for utilizing handheld metal detectors. The purpose is to deter the presence of weapons on school property. Classrooms will be selected randomly, and only intermediate and high school campuses will be screened. Here's what a typical screening will look like. A team of trained male and female screeners will enter a randomly chosen classroom. A team member will announce to the students the purpose of the screening, the method in which the screening will be conducted, and the fact that the selection is done in a random manner. Team members will briefly demonstrate how the screenings will be done. and 1 female student. They will be asked to put their belongings on a table in plain view, as well as to empty their pockets and place those items into a basket. The belongings will then be physically screened only to the degree necessary to make sure they contain no weapons. The student will then be scanned using a handheld metal detector by a screener of the same gender. The same scanning technique will be utilized for every student. The screener will scan the entire body. Law enforcement will be contacted for any student found to be in possession of a weapon. If a student refuses to be screened, or during the course of the screening, prohibited items are discovered, a campus administrator will be contacted. Students will be subject to disciplinary action. Please, sir, just walk with me for an additional screening.
I know it's not funny.
Pasadena ISD, we are always committed to ensuring a safe and effective learning environment for all students. This screening process is one more tool to address school safety. I thank you for taking the time to watch this informative video. If you have further questions, please contact your campus administration. Thank you for helping us keep Pasadena ISD safe.
That's fantastic.
And I want to commend all of our campuses as well at the intermediate and high school level, specifically CTHS, who allowed us to utilize their students, their criminal justice students, and their audiovisual students to produce the video and trained with them. But all of our intermediate and high schools were very open to this. The students were very open to this. The parents were very open to this. And we are very proud of all that work. So that was a lot of work. I commend the team who has worked on that. And then also all of our administrators and teachers that are retired. I promise you the little bit we can pay them, okay, they are doing it more because of their heart for our students in Pasadena ISD to keeping them safe, keeping us safe and the students safe. So I commend them as well. The last piece I'm going to hit upon is we have scoured and have been contacted by so many groups about different programs, about different, materials. One that we're very proud of, and you provided the approval of the MOU for the standard response protocol. And if you notice the poster on the right-hand side, in an emergency, when you hear it, do it. What we learned through all of our research is many schools had procedures and practices and language, but it was all different. So this is one example that we have these posters hanging throughout our campuses and will be in classrooms next year where it unified what happens in each of these. You do have this handout at the very end of your packet, okay, and it is if in an emergency, and it tells you. And it's also been able for us to educate parents on what the different avenues are. So kudos to all of who have worked on that as well. That hits upon a little bit. I'm now going to turn it over to Chief Russell, our third team member, and he's going to hit upon a couple other items.
Hey, one quick question, Troy.
Yes, sir.
What happens is, tell me again if a kid refuses to do the search?
Absolutely. If a student refuses, we do have a campus administrator, which each of these teams, then that student, by the team lead from the metal detector team, the team lead takes that student to that administrator. And then that administrator works with that student on then, continuing on with the search, or, if the student does deny the search, there's a possibility, the police could be involved, that sort of thing. But then the student is issued discipline, or the principal has the right to issue discipline for refusing that search.
The bad guy, let's just call it what it is. The bad guy.
Yes.
Okay. Are your people trained if they come across a bad guy? What are they trained for that? And is there a police officer there, a campus police officer, going to be there when they're
Very
they're
good.
running these tests?
Mr. Roberts, actually, very good question. First off, absolutely. Okay, the police came in and showed various weapons, various knives, and then also various vaping devices for them to be able to see. If you haven't noticed what an intermediate or a high school student has in their backpack, you're welcome to come along, because everything is in that backpack. And so they've had to become very experienced in realizing what is and isn't. To answer your question, absolutely. This isn't a police-driven metal detector screening, so the police is not in the room, but the police officer is very close. That is why that administrator is there as well, Mr. Roberts. So that student, if they find something, that team lead is called. That is their whole responsibility. They take the item, the police officer is called, the campus administrator is there.
My own thoughts is I'd have a police officer somewhere close. Because they're the only one with an equalizer.
That's correct. Trust me, they're very close.
The officers are in the hallway within earshot of where the search is being conducted.
Okay.
They may not be visually seen, but they are in the hallway where they can hear what's going on.
Well, I think that's fantastic. The kids never know what to expect.
Yeah.
And actually, the presence of the police officer, we did not want that to increase the anxiety of the students. And so the police officer has been instructed to be within earshot of what's going on. But they're, knock on wood, this year so far, no issues.
You know, I talked to Sherlyn Ross the other day. Of course, she's sitting in her office waiting for, what, July 3rd or something?
31st. Oh, for principals, yeah, 3rd. Right around the 1st of July.
She told me, she called me and was talking, just wanted to talk a little bit and reminisce and so on and so forth. And she said, you know what, Freddie? She said, all these years, she said, when I leave this campus, the one thing I'll remember is that fear I had in my heart about something happening on my campus. She said, I thought about it every day, every single day. And she said, I'm going to walk out of here with that on my mind, that something didn't happen. And so it's an important issue, and I don't think there's a more important issue for our students and our teachers and our administrators and our staff to be in a safe environment. So I've always been pro this deal, and so I encourage y'all to, this is just a starting point to keep on figuring out new ways to take care of this.
You know what? This makes it even more important what Ms. Laredo and her team are doing, praying around our schools and making sure they're covered in prayer and that they pray for that safe environment. I mean, to me, if I got nothing else from tonight, the fact that we've got people out there doing that, it really touches my heart.
I have a question. I understand that the doors can be locked from inside. Who has the authority to unlock them?
The teacher of the classroom has the authority to unlock them. And in the event of any kind of real event, a voice that they know, an administrator that they recognize would come over the PA system to notify the teachers of the situation is clear, people are going to be coming to your classroom, remain in your classroom, keep the door locked, the people coming to your classroom will have keys so that we can enter the classroom, so that there is that soothing voice that they recognize is most important to put them at ease. And secondly, we want to put them at ease that they can remain in their safe spot with their plan. All of y'all, I applaud each of you for going through ALICE training. Each of y'all know that they're having a plan mentally is so much better for us than hiding in the corner with the lights out. So the voice would come over the speaker, notify them that officers, administrators, if it's a low-level threat, if nothing happened, perhaps administrators. If it was a high threat that happened, it would be police officers would be coming to the rooms with keys and then unlocking the doors.
Thank you.
In addition to the standard response protocol handout that you have, you also have an ALICE handout at the back of your book. This was put together by officers of the department to also go right alongside the other one.
You talking about these two?
Yes, sir. That's it, right there, the ALICE one. ALICE, we felt, was so important that it deserved its own flyer. ALICE is when everything is going horribly wrong and something has to be done right now. Again, I applaud each of y'all for attending the training. Officers of our department were able to provide that same training to each campus this last school year, so all faculty had the opportunity to attend that training. Makeup training sessions were also offered. Robert Saavedra was nice enough to let us use the Guidance Center for those additional trainings for people that weren't able to make it when their home campus did the training. In addition to providing training to all the employees of the campuses, officers of the police department worked with Rob Smith and the media department, put together a great video on Alice. That Alice video was showed to the middle school students, the intermediate school students, and the high school students to provide them training on what Alice is. I must also applaud that some campuses, such as Dobie High School, went the extra mile. They put together a fantastic training at both campuses simultaneously. They led up to that with informational announcements to the students, letting them know what was going on. Everybody was very, very well informed before the day ever came for them to run this drill, and everybody knew it was a drill. I also would like to applaud several campuses. Vanessa Reyes at Rayburn led the charge with creating their own Alice video with staff and students and their campus in the video to show to the students of the campus as an additional Alice video for training. At the elementary schools, the book I'm Not Scared, I'm Prepared was provided. Teachers and counselors worked with the elementary school students to provide them training on how they would react in a situation that would involve the Alice program. Moving forward, there is a plan in place for substitutes. Substitutes are going to be asked and required to watch the Alice video that the students are watching. They are also going to be encouraged to attend the live training that each of y'all attended. New hires will be instructed during hiring that when they get to a campus, their campus principal will be contacting them and telling them to schedule training. The first couple of months of school, my officers will be providing training probably 2 to 3 times a month, depending on the needs of who signs up in Eduphoria. And as most of those new hires get trained, we'll back off on the number of times that is offered so that all new hires and all substitutes have the opportunity to attend the same live scenario training that you attended. Lastly, for Alice, this year, all employees, the Alice video that the students are watching will be required for them to watch again, along with the sexual harassment video, the bloodborne pathogen video, and there's several other videos that we're required to watch each year. So Alice is moving full speed ahead. I think the program is doing great things. I get tremendous amounts of compliments from the people on the staff that have attended the training, and they're very happy that we've offered an alternative to just turning off the lights. Simulations. Supervisors of the police department put together some tabletop exercises. This year we chose 2 scenarios. One involved finding a student in the bathroom who was a cutter. And we went in and we found the administrator that was in charge. If that administrator wasn't there, we went to the assistant principal. If the assistant principal wasn't there, we went to the office ladies, the staff at the office. Matter of fact, at one campus, we even there was a student at an intermediate school that was administrator of the day. She had a radio, so I went ahead and hit her up with the scenario and said,
"You got a radio? You're it.
You got a radio? You're involved. You're a student." And she actually said, "That's funny because I actually had that happen to me last year. I had a friend that cut herself in the bathroom." And I said, "Well, what did you do?" And we talked through the scenario, and she did fantastic. I'm happy to report that we made it to all high school and alternative campuses. We made it to all intermediate campuses. Unfortunately, I have to say that I am sorry that we only made it to 6 of the middle schools and 17 of the elementary schools. I instructed my supervisors to prioritize what campuses we were going to hit, and we were going to go to the higher grade levels first, because the elementary schools do a fantastic job of keeping a tight rein on who's in their building and what's going on. So we hit 2/3 of the campuses, and I vow that we will hit every one of them this upcoming year. Interagency response drills. Even prior to this year, supervisors from my department and supervisors from the Pasadena Police Department have talked about doing a large-scale emergency drill involving the two departments. We have 2 officers that have been assigned to Pasadena SWAT team that work fabulous with them. We also have crisis negotiators that work with the Pasadena crisis negotiators. We have a fabulous relationship with the city of Pasadena, and I am tremendously grateful for their cooperation and their support. Those talks began even prior to this year, but about November or December, Lieutenant Welch and Captain David Garza started putting it nuts and bolts of what are we really going to do. And then Troy McCarley and Dr. Powell came and said that we want to see a drill. And we said, well, sounds great. And fortunately, the city of Pasadena was on board. Starting in January, weekly meetings occurred between the supervisor's staff to form this tabletop drill. The tabletop drill was to take place this morning. Unfortunately, due to weather and flooding along the Beltway, some places had 3 to 4 feet of water at the Beltway, and Precinct 8 had the Beltway feeder roads closed off, so we had to call off the drill. But that drill is going to happen, and this drill is the first drill. The situation that we're going to be drilling is an event that requires a mass evacuation of our campus. We have done some of those in the past, but this time we have a good plan using Sagemont Church and our other partners as far as ambulance crews, city police, city health department, student services, Jamie Bird, Robert Stock, transportation. All the pieces are coming together for this crawl, walk, run. The first drill is our crawl, sit at the table and talk about it. Our next one will be actually going to the sites and doing walkthroughs at the sites while doing the scenario. And then lastly, we hope to involve role players and actually do evacuations. So we're progressing far forward on that, and I appreciate the emphasis that Dr. Powell and the board has put on safety for this year. Thank you.
One last question. What are we doing here at the ad building?
Well, that's a good question. Of course, most of us departments, like Tony's department's been trained in Alice and others, and we'll be offering more of that. You know, this is an old building that tends to be falling apart. It's hard to rationalize putting a lot of money into it, but we've talked about Blue Wave at the entry, exit, and side doors, so that'll be installed so that no one can just walk in on those other alternative entries. So we've looked at various things. We have, of course, all the safety equipment that a campus would have, whether it's the AED or the medical equipment like Stop the Bleed and things like that. We have a story to share about that, but what are some other things, Troy?
No, you hit upon quite a few. I mean, we're taking also suggestions from the departments as well, okay, on what the safety areas that they need. And like I said, one of the largest concerns we've heard is the open doors. And so Mr. Fornoff is currently working to get us an estimate on making sure that those those doors are blue waved, but then we have to issue blue wave IDs to every employee because not every employee has a key. And so we're looking at that and then continuing to have Alice drills, you know, here and training our staff and then listening to them to see what else that they need.
And when our safety director comes on, we're going to ask for some review of our procedures. We had a little fire. I won't talk about what department it started in, special programs. But anyway, we had a little fire. I'm just kidding, just kidding. And we know we need to improve on our procedures and processes. So we're going to say, welcome to PISD. Now let's talk about the ad building being a little safer. So we've always prioritized campuses.
I understand that. I understand prioritizing the campuses, but just be straight with you. You can walk into any administrator's office, including the superintendent's. You're the one they're mad at. I'd have a lock on my door. So y'all need to figure out something to make sure this place is safe.
We do have panic buttons, and we've accidentally pushed them, and the police have shown up, and I'm like, yes, may I help you? And they're like, you pushed the button. What do you need now? So we do need better processes. We've always talked about being open and, wanting the public to feel welcome. And honestly, we're living in a different world now. So we've got to have some processes to protect our employees.
One of the things that I learned when I was at Winter Governance this year was, and I don't think that we do this, but it sounded like a super idea to me, as many doors as we have on our campuses, especially our high school campuses. One of the things that the presenter was talking about was putting a number on that door to identify that door and sharing that information with all police personnel, both city and school district. And so that if you have an incident, you can say it happened at such and such a door at Memorial High School, whatever. And you didn't have to say it's the south door in the north corner and all this kind of stuff that confuses so many.
And Mrs. Morgan, I am going to look at Chief, but I am for sure on our exterior doors of our campuses, we have the number system.
But we have
need
plans
to
for
share-
a digital sandbox to share that
That's
with
Okay,
outside
good.
agencies. I know when the hurricane happened, when Marie Flickinger was saying, which door do you want the fire department to chop down at Dobie? I said, I want them to chop down door 65. And she said, where is door 65? I said, I don't know. There's a number on it. Look for 65 and chop it down. And she was like, okay, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah,
you
see,
know.
they say that's the problem. If you don't share it with all agencies, whether it be our own.
And then our police were able to open it from remote. But you're right, we need to share it in digital sandbox. You want to talk about digital sandbox to answer that real quick?
All campuses are numbered. Each year we go through and recheck to make sure we want them numbered in clockwise order so that when somebody says door number 3, we know you go. The front door is door number 1. There may be 4 doors at that location. However, it's one entryway, so it carries the number 1. Then as you go clockwise, the next location, the next exterior door will be door number 2. And each year, even this year, we're fixing a few issues. Sometimes doors get numbered. A door gets skipped, so we have to go back and make an A or a B. But every year we go back during the summertime, our officers evaluate that outside door numbering system, also making sure that the numbers have not been painted over or that there's not a red number on a red door, which sometimes has happened, that we have fixed. But each of them are numbered. Digital Sandbox is a program that will be fabulous to share with our partners. Other agencies they need a place to put the information, and that's what Digital Sandbox will allow us to do.
Good. Okay.
Now, we have this, are we doing this kind of like a fire drill at times?
Yes.
Because, I know this is separate from Alice.
It's recommended that there are 2 shelter in places, the 2 of the lockdowns. There's 2 of each one each semester is what's recommended. So they are being done like fire drills. And as the kids get older, the video becomes monotonous and routine, but they know it. The more times we see it as a person, the more that sinks in. So we were going to keep these posters in front of everybody. We're going to keep the video in front of everybody. If that one gets too monotonous, then we'll make a new one to interest them and get their attention again and keep putting the same information in front of them so that every student gets that information.
Okay, so we know that if something happens on a campus involving safety, whether that's an accident, whether it's violence, whether it's weather, that our campus personnel really are our first responders. And so we did not want to be powerless should we have some sort of medical issue. So we have trained medical emergency response teams on each campus, and members of that team have been trained in CPR, first aid. We've also placed Stop the Bleed kits on each campus, and our nurses are trainers of that, and we are offering more and more trainings. Our nurses have also gone through school emergency triage training in the event there is a mass casualty type event. They have been trained in those protocols as well and done a great job with setting up systems and structures on the campus for that. Our standard reunification method, I'll just talk real briefly about this. Chief touched on it. We have worked real diligently this year, and you have a copy of one of the sites in your packet that we'll be utilizing if we have to have a large scale evacuation. But we know that having a predetermined process in place, that's certainly going to help a situation where there'll already be a lot of anxiety.
Our major goal is to have every student, staff, and visitor accounted for, and to make a reunification of that child with their parent. And once we know that we're going to have to evacuate, we'll determine the site based upon the situation. We'll deploy the personnel and resources that are going to be needed. We'll deliver the student safely to that reunification site and notify the parents. Once our students are en route to that site, we will notify the parents which site we will be using, and then we'll already have places and processes in place for where parents will enter, keeping in mind that we'll be working to keep parents and students at separate entrance points. We'll also have verification systems worked out and the reunifying sites and the departure sites worked out. And if you look at the back of this, it gives a little more of the map. You have a little more detail of kind of what I'm talking about. But we will have counseling on site, grief support. We'll have medical systems in place, child nutrition in the event we need food. So we've really thought through the process and sort of the flow pattern of working. And we'll be doing this at each of the sites that we are considering for reunification. So it's kind of an ongoing process, but we are working to have systems in place should we need that. So Crisis Go, just talk with you briefly about this. One of the things that continued to come up in conversations is that those in the classroom really wanted some sort of immediate way to get help if they needed it. And while we have telephones or sending runners, we just wanted to look for some other way that would be more immediate. And so Crisis Go is a comprehensive safety platform. It's actually an app that can be loaded on PCs, phones, tablets, Chrome devices, really any type of device. And there are a number of features, and we're looking at rolling this out on a pilot basis, one school at each level. And one of the features, and I'm just going to highlight a few of them for you, is an alert button. If there's a situation that occurs, a button can be pushed, whether it's on the phone or on the computer, and it goes off anywhere this app has been located. So if there's something that occurs in one classroom and a teacher activates that button, every computer in that school will activate with a loud, audible signal, so that everyone would know to go into a lockdown mode. So you don't have to wait for a call to go to the office and someone to pick up a mic or announcement to be made. Everyone knows because it goes across. There's also a panic button. It's really a personal call for help, and it activates and it's sent to whatever team has been designated. That may be a team of administrators, that may be someone within our district level, but it sends a notification immediately that this person in this classroom needs some sort of immediate help. There's also an emergency escalation feature that can be pushed that goes directly to whoever we designate. It could be our city police, our district police, our city fire. That'll all be set up in structures that we designate. There's rosters for if we have to leave the building. Teachers can pull up on their phones if they have those devices, rosters of their students. Administrators can send messages to those teachers. There's ways to account for the students. There's a lot of drill management oversight pieces so that we can see the drills that are taking place and any areas that we need to work on. There's some great awareness card information that can be sent to parents, teachers, kind of reminding them of different processes. Reunification tools on there so that when students arrive at reunification sites, we can move students, we can show that they've arrived. We can show when they reach their destination, when they're moved within the reunification site, when their parents pick them up. There's also a Safe to Speak Up app where students can anonymously report if there's situations that they're worried about. It's very much like our See Something, Say Something. Just, again, a lot of great features on there. And so we are going to roll this out on a pilot basis this fall at schools to get our kind of feet wet with this and see. We think this will be a really positive thing to some of the things that the committee had expressed some concerns about. And I'll move into threat assessment teams. We know threat assessments are not new to our district. Our counselors and our behavior response teams have been doing a very fine job with threat assessments and looking at high-risk needs of students. But we know that we need to broaden our scope and include more of a multidisciplinary approach. So this summer we have brought in Dr. Reeves, who's a consultant with Sigma Threat Assessment, and she trained principals and some other members from their teams, and we are focusing on being able to identify students that we have possible concerns about. Basically, do we have students that are thinking of engaging in harm, and what are indicators that we can and should be looking for? Then we have a process that we're going to inquire and gather additional information and assess the situation. And what we're really focusing on are, do we have students that are making a threat, or do we have students that are posing a threat? Because those are two very different things, and we need to make sure that we understand that difference. Have students taken steps to further the ideas? Do they have a plan? Do they have access to be able to carry out their plan? So a lot of different details. And then managing the plan. We want to be able to find the appropriate resources, put plans in place, because our ultimate goal with this is early intervention. We want to keep students off that pathway to violence. And again, that's our major focus of threat assessment teams. So our next steps, we have put together on our website a Keep Pasadena ISD Safe, because we want parents to be aware of all the initiatives that we're taking and the processes. We're going to continue with our Crisis Go and our expanding the threat assessment, because we think that's critical, that intervention with mental health. Our emergency operation plans, Dr. Powell touched a little bit on that earlier. We are going to be reviewing those. We're going to be researching a student ambassador program and implementing digital sandbox. We have increased our number of police officers, so we'll be working and moving in that arena. And we're also going to continue to meet as a safety and security committee and be incorporating any legislative updates. So thank you for your time this evening. Any questions, any of our team will be happy to answer.
I'm just pleased as punch what you've done thus far. You've done an absolutely tremendous job. And as a board member, I know it makes me feel a lot more comfortable and pleased that we've taken student safety and obviously the safety of the school community so seriously, because it is something that we've got to be concerned with. Thank y'all. Yes,
I'd like
very
to say
much.
also that it's just amazing to me how far you've come in such a short time.
Yeah.
I mean, you put a very meaningful program together that's responsive right now. The sad thing about it is that this weekend, last week, one of my granddaughters had a teacher friend from Hitchcock visit us in Galveston, and she is, of course, off for the summer, but she teaches summer school. And she had an aunt and some relatives that were at Santa Fe. And she's pretty tough on Santa Fe. The fact of the matter is, she herself has turned in situations that never got anywhere as far as awareness. Everything else, like people with closed ears and eyes, so that we don't have to admit that we have this problem. And apparently some of the problems that happened down there were just ignored because people didn't recognize what was going on, and I think that's what you're doing. You know, when somebody walks in your class in the summertime with a long coat on, it should tell you something. To me, it should tell you something. But it didn't tell anybody anything down there. So your awareness situations, if you see something, say something. I'm just very pleased with what you're doing, because that's going to be the thing that stops the thing. Thank you.
Well, they've done an amazing job, and then they have tons of people that have worked underneath them and with them and alongside them that have done an amazing job. The ASCDs, I have to give kudos to them. When those see something, say something, not only is the police department woke up in the middle of the night, but the ASCDs are getting those texts as well. And so sometimes they're on the phone in the middle of the night working back and forth with our wonderful police department, trying to figure out what's valid, what's needing to be investigated immediately, what can wait till in the morning, and they're working effectively together as a team to make those calls. So I'm really pleased with that. The Stop the Bleed, we saw that in action just this last week. One of our officers saved a student's life. We won't say what that student was doing to cause harm to his life, because you won't like it, but he still was able to put that into practice and use that equipment that we had purchased and practice that to save a student's life, which we're very feeling blessed about. So that's it. Other than the retirees, when they got back from their first metal detector drill, Troy goes, "You're going to have to buy them a stool. They're having a hard time getting out of that van that you have them." So we got them a stool. They're happy. All is well. All right.
Thank you so very much.
Great job.
go to item 12. Consideration and possible approval of multi-grant awards from Harris County Department of Education, Oliver Foundation, and Lowe's Foundation.
So moved.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Sullivan, second by Mrs. Morgan. Any questions? Discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Consideration and possible approval for seniors in various CTE programs at the Dr. Kirk Lewis Career and Technical High School to experience a hand-on cruise experience aboard a Carnival cruise January 16th through the 20th, 2020.
I so move.
Second.
Motion by Mrs. Morgan, second by Mr. Fernandez.
I have a question.
Okay.
Are they going to leave the ship?
No, ma'am. No one's off board.
Good.
No, ma'am. Neither the chaperones, the teachers, or the students. Nobody's off.
That's when they do a lot of their good learning, is when all the other folks are off.
That's when everybody else is off. The crew has time to devote to our kids.
I think it's wonderful that
I
they
do
have
too.
this opportunity.
I keep asking to be a chaperone.
Yeah, me
Thanks,
too.
Steve.
Me too.
They won't let you go?
It's a lotto.
We'd love to have you.
Thank you, Steve. Any other questions? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Student achievements, we have them throughout the book. If you have a board book with you, see what our students are achieving, and we're extremely proud of them. As we said earlier, no policy review tonight. Financial section. Consideration and possible approval of budget amendments for
I
May.
move we approve the budget amendments.
Second.
Motion made and seconded. We approve it by Mrs. Morgan, second by Mrs. Sullivan. The budget amendments. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Consideration and possible approval of delinquent tax attorney services, RFQ number 19Q-029 LP.
I so move.
Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Morgan, second by Mrs. Sullivan. Any questions?
I just have a question for Dr. Powell. If you would just real quickly move us through how this came to be.
Well, as you know, we put out an RFQ like we're doing for many of our services, and so a committee was formed. Derek and his department used a rubric system to evaluate those. I asked Dr. Hickman to sit on that as well. So I'm going to have her say just a few words about the process and the selection of the company. Just what the committee's, I guess, overview of that process was.
So we met and actually had presentations from two companies that did an outstanding job in presenting their firms and what all they could provide us. I think that we unanimously looked at certain items that were given by Purdue and done by Purdue for that presentation. Several things that made them stand out for us. One of the things that there was a really strong transition plan with Dexter, which we felt was super important. They were going to have immediate access to him and his recommendations for 6 months minimal, and so we felt like that would help the transition period for us. They did their homework. They had a chart of delinquent tax collection comparisons that they've done for their company and that we've done, and they estimated quite a bit of additional funds that they feel like with their processes and their procedures and software and all the things that they have access to, that they could have made a lot of money for us. So that was impressive because they knew exactly what money we had made and where, and had done that homework. They also had done an opens record request and found out, got access to all of our tax collection and could see and had actually analyzed that and talked about where certain places were that they felt like we could have done better. Places that if we would have done this or this or this, maybe that would have helped our tax collection. And so, they're looking at it without all of the information, but just based on that roster. But they had obviously spent quite a bit of time analyzing that, which was pretty impressive for us. They also talked about their collection process, and it was very customer friendly and community based. So they have non-timed calls, so they can talk to the taxpayer or the non-taxpayer for quite a bit of time and hear their story and then help them come up with some payment plans and different ways. It sounds, at least, came across as a very kind heart, and they train around that so that we're not going to be damaging or super punitive with the folks. We know that those are hard conversations, but it sounds that they train specifically to do that in a very caring way. So hopefully that's the case. The recommendations and the references got very high marks in the information that we received. We weren't a part of those, but that we did have those marks there also. And I was very, very impressed with their sense of community. And again, both of them had strong presentations, but those were the things that stood out for us, for Purdue versus the other company.
And just to add, we've had 34 years of outstanding service by Mr. Joyner. He has done hundreds of millions of dollars of collections for us. And so, again, we appreciate the transition that'll take place as well as he continues to work with us. And we just want to commend him for all his outstanding years of service. So thank you to him.
Thank you very much. It's been an honor.
I've got a statement.
I do too.
The smartest thing that Purdue did, as far as I'm concerned, because I don't know from Adam, they may be sitting on the front. Well, no, none of y'all be, but they could be sitting on the front row. But the smartest thing these people did was to bring this man right here sitting beside me on the ship, because I've watched this man. He has been a strong wind, a strong tree in a rough wind all the years I've been here for 27 years. And this board right here has depended on him through 3 superintendents to give us guidance when we needed it. And we still intend to get that guidance. He's not as shiny as he used to be, and I care less about what the other people have to bring. And I'm going to use a quote that the man in the middle right there, I've heard him use for years, and the proof's in the pudding. This guy right here has done the deal, but y'all haven't. And so you made a smart move by bringing this man on board with you, and I'm glad to call you my friend. I'm glad to have worked with you all these years. I expect you to be at the next meetings, and I expect the good guidance from the strong tree you have been all these years, and I appreciate it. And I'll be truthful with you. I'd have gone with the company that took this guy right here, because you probably put him in a box and roll him out and they'll probably look the same. But this guy wouldn't. He'd be a separate piece of dice that came out of the box. So whoever you are, if you're out there today, is Purdue here?
Y'all go ahead and stand up.
Yeah, stand
we'll let
up.
you introduce yourself. Do you mind introducing? Just
Now we
kind of
know
go
what you
down
look
the
like.
line, Carla. Okay. Oh. Thank y'all for being here tonight. We appreciate it.
Thank you for being here, and I appreciate it. But like I said, this guy has proven himself. Y'all haven't, so y'all need to. And so
for many years, and we expect to continue to do that.
that's great. Well, you made a smart move when it comes to me, because I've sat here and argued with you for a long time. But anyway.
Dexter.
Thank you.
You've been a friend for many years. For the entire time that I've been on the board, you and I have been partners.
Yes,
and you've offered advice, and you've offered just a real stronghold. And I appreciate everything that you've done for me over the years, for my family, for always being there and knowing that we can always count on you to give us good advice. And I will never forget that, and I'll never forget the friendship that we've had over the years, and the times that you've over and over again you've given the oath of office for us as we take our oath, and those are times that I'm going to remember. And I thank you for everything that you've done.
Thank you. It's been an honor. Great honor.
I'd like to say the same thing,
Thank you.
Dexter. Going back a lot of years, and I think you'd been here 4 years before I got here. but you've been a great friend and a great supporter, and I value that friendship. We've got a lot of things in common. We talked a lot about horses and all the where's more for
I've horsed around.
That's right, we have. But,
Still quick.
just wished you well, and I really value the friendship and what you've been meant to me personally.
Thank you, it's been an
Thank
honor.
you.
And it's been a privilege to have you sit at our table.
Thank you.
We appreciate it more than you know.
It's been my honor. Thank you so much.
You're a big supporter of the district, other than your professional duties, also monetarily and time-wise, and that does not go unnoticed. We appreciate it.
You're more than welcome. Feel honored. Thank you very much. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you, Dr. Powell.
Thank you.
He gives about 100,000 to the golf tournament every year. I guess we won't expect that from you. You guys want to stand up?
You better stand in line.
The Education Foundation. Have y'all met Carla? Okay.
That was in the old days. He's way above that.
Oh, is he?
Oh, my God.
Have we voted on this yet?
No, we haven't. I better vote.
All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. And good luck to Dexter. We're proud that you're still going to be with these guys, and we welcome you
Yes.
to be part of our family. Thank you.
Thank you.
And looking out for our better needs. Consideration and possible approval of depository services, CSP number 19P-021LP with JP Morgan Chase Bank
So move. Second.
as depository bank for the period of September 1st, 2019 to August 31st, 2021. Ms. Morgan and Ms. Sullivan, it's a second. Any discussions?
Is that who we were with this past year?
Yes. Carla, you want to come up? It's the same one. I don't know if anything's changed.
Nothing has changed, it's the same.
Same one.
Even though we have expanded some of our credit card services to make more revenue, other than that, everything's exactly the same.
They don't charge our employees to cash checks, do
No,
they?
sir. So,
The previous guy
well,
did.
and now what we're even doing with our employee reimbursement, we're doing that automatic through their bank account, so there's no checks. So we're taking care of that as well,
That's
to make
great.
it easier for the employees.
Thank you.
Good.
Thank you, ma'am. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Consideration and possible approval of investment brokers and dealers to engage in investment transactions with the district.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Morgan, second by Nelda Sullivan. Any questions? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion passes. Consideration and possible approval of Total Compensation Group Investment Advisory Services, LPTCG.
So move.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Morgan, second by Mrs. Sullivan. Any comments or questions?
Is anybody from TCG here? Not tonight, or?
Yes.
Okay, I'm sorry.
I have Steve Winter.
I just wanted to recognize you if you were here, so thank you for being here.
Thank you very much. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. We have a presentation. Is this the one we have presentation?
It's quick, yes.
Okay. Consideration and possible approval order authorizing the issuance of Pasadena Independent School District unlimited tax refunding bonds in one or more series, setting certain parameters for the bonds, authorizing a pricing officer to approve the amount, the interest rate, price, including the terms thereof, and certain other procedures and provisions related thereto.
And y'all know Mr. Roebuck, he's been here many times, but he has a brief presentation.
I will be brief. President of the Board, members of the Board, Dr. Powell, John Roebuck with BLK Financial Securities. Let me make sure I get this right.
You keep talking. Okay. There you go.
We actually have two items on the agenda tonight, item 6 and item 7. The first item is a refunding opportunity for the district to save some money based on the current market. First page of the presentation here is the bond buyer index. This is an overview of the municipal bond market. On the far right, you'll see the current rate is at 3.48%. That's down from about 75 basis points from the beginning of the year. So we're in a very strong municipal market, given trade wars, given the Fed talking about lower interest rates. We see the rates are going to stay in this relative range for a while, and that's why we're coming to you tonight to ask you to approve a parameter order to allow us to refund these bonds and save some money for the district.
Awesome.
We are looking to refund the unlimited tax refunding bond series 2010, outstanding amount about $51 million. interest rates ranging from 3.5% to 5%. And by refunding these bonds in November, we can save approximately $7.6 million in interest cost savings for the district, about $930,000 a year. And to do so, we have a schedule of events here. We're asking you to approve a payment order tonight, giving us the authority to move forward with the refunding, submit a permanent school fund guarantee application, start working on the preliminary official document to go to investors, and then sell the bonds in October and deliver those in mid to late November and realize those savings.
Awesome.
Okay. We need a vote.
You need a vote.
I need a
Number
motion.
6 first, don't you?
Need a motion.
I so move.
Second.
Motion by Ms. Morgan, second by Mrs. Sullivan. Any discussion with Mr. Roebuck? The $7.6 million sounds wonderful.
I hope it's more than that.
I hope it is too. All opposed? For it? All opposed? No. Motion passes. Consideration and possible approval of authorizing the conversion of Pasadena Independent School District variable rate unlimited tax school building bonds, Series 2015B to new rate period. Authorizing a presiding officer to take certain actions related to such conversion. Authorizing the preparation of a remarketing memorandum and the appointment of a remarketing agent, amending certain provisions of the order authorizing the issuance of the Pasadena Independent School District variable rate unlimited tax school building bond, Series 205B, and enacting other provisions relating thereto.
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Mrs. Sullivan, second by Mrs. Morgan. Any discussion?
Thank you. Another quick presentation. And before I get started, Tanya Fisher, your bond counsel, is here. She drafted the documents we're asking you to approve tonight. And also put together that wordy agenda language there. Just as a refresher, back in 2015, the district issued some variable rate bonds. We issued these bonds in an effort to take advantage of short-term lower rates for longer-term debt. And as a result, we sold these bonds, like I said, again, in 2015. The term rate was about 4.5 years. It comes up on August 15th, at which point we have to move those to another term rate mode. But during that period of time, if you compare it to what we would have sold them as a fixed rate bond issue, we saved about $8.8 million in interest costs by doing so. We're recommending we go into another rate mode. Right now we're looking about 3 to 5 year, just the way the yield curve is right now. And page 2 of the presentation shows that, again, we're looking at the shorter term interest rates for longer term maturities. Instead of seeing the 5% coupons, we're looking at something closer to about 2% to save a little more money and gives a little more flexibility of their debt structure. The rating companies like to see anywhere from 10 to 25%. Right now, you'll have about 24%. If you include the swap, the 2005B bonds you have outstanding also. And so by doing that, we would ask you to approve the order tonight. We'll put together a remarketing memorandum, price the bonds the week of July 29th, and then close those and convert those to a new term rate mode on August 15th.
Any questions? You wrote the memorandum? I should have let you read it. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed, no. Motion passes. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Operations section. Consideration and possible approval of transfer of 2014 bond program unused project funds to the bond contingency pool.
So move. Second.
Motion by Mrs. Morgan, second by Mr. Fernandez. Any discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Consideration and possible approval of Pasadena ISD facility rental rates for sites on elementary, middle, intermediate, and high school campuses effective July the 1st, 2019.
So move.
Second.
Vicki Morgan, motion. Ms. Sullivan, second. Any comments?
Board members, I just want to say that We know for sure we haven't done anything to these rates since 2009. It could possibly be before that, Monica. Monica works tirelessly to keep up with, I mean, you would not believe the amount of contracts she gets. And so I just looked into it more and I realized there's a reason for that. Is surrounding districts didn't have the low rates that we had. So we just kind of looked at the comparison of surrounding districts. We were having teams and groups from all over, way outside our boundaries come in, and I just kind of wanted to research why that was. It was putting a lot of wear and tear on our facilities, and there were some security issues that came up. I know our police dealt with a lot. So we worked together just to look at comparable rates, and we're bringing those to you to go into effect on July 1st. We'll continue to work with community groups and other organizations that contribute to the district in a significant way. So I do have that authority to waive rental rates when you're talking about a Rotary group that gives scholarships and things to our students when they want to hold some event. There's always the option for that, but we did want to bring these to you for your consideration.
Do we have a motion on this?
Yes.
Okay.
Believe it or not, we do. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. Motion passes. Construction update, any comments or questions? Communications? Public comments, there are none. Appoint board committees, y'all see your list, I think you have it in your book. And for information only. Next meeting is suggested for July the 23rd.
I move that we approve the Tuesday, July 23rd as our next regular meeting. Second.
Motion by Mrs. Morgan, second by Mrs. Sullivan. Any questions, disagreements? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, no. There's no other business before this board. We're adjourned. Thank you all for being